A question I am asked a lot as an English teacher is, how can I improve my vocabulary? How can I add more words to my daily vocab list? How can I make sure I sound advanced, professional, and more fluent when I'm speaking on a daily basis? Well, the answer is really quite simple. It's exposing yourself to English, reading in English, watching videos in English, listening to music in English, and not just listening or reading or watching, but taking in what is being said, understanding it in context, and applying that to daily situations you may find yourself in. So, with that being said, I wanted to create a video today on one of the most talked about topics, Netflix, or more widely, TV shows, movies, films, series, documentaries. We as a society love to spend our time watching things, talking about the things we've watched, watching things because they are recommended to us. This is a highly talked about topic in our personal lives and our professional lives. So today I'm going to give you 10 advanced vocabulary that you can add to your vocabulary lists and include when you are talking to your colleagues, your friends, your family about things you have seen on TV, on Netflix, or have even read about. You can use any of these words to describe content that you have taken in whatever way, reading, watching, listening. Hi, my name is Catherine. I'm a business English teacher and I work with intermediate to advanced level students. If this is your first time finding my channel, I have lots of helpful content here for you. Interview technique, advanced vocabulary, simplified grammar videos. So I definitely recommend subscribing and like this video for me if you could. It's very helpful. If you're not new here, welcome back. I hope you've had a fantastic week. Before we get into our advanced adjectives for describing your Netflix activities, I want to go through a few simple vocab that you need to know when you want to review a movie or a series in detail. Script. So you may know this one as it's used quite often by even YouTubers talk about a script. A script is the text, the words that the characters say to one another. If the acting is bad but the script is good, it can often lead to a good series. If the script is bad and the acting is bad, you often feel that when you're watching something. So the script is the predetermined, the pre-written text communication that the characters say to one another throughout a movie or a series. The plot is the story itself. So boy meets girl, they fall in love, they live happily ever after. That's a plot. Or in a horror film, the plot is a group of teenagers go camping and they all disappear one by one. That's the plot, the story. A plot twist is a plot that is not so predictable. So a plot twist in a movie, in a book, in a series is where you never see the end coming. Something happens that is completely out of the blue. You never expected it. If you have seen Parasite or The Platform or even Fool Me Once, which is a brand new series on Netflix, and if you're learning English, I recommend this because it's set in England and they use very typical English slang. These all have very good plot twists. So you don't see the end coming. You think it's going one way, and halfway through the series, the movie, it changes. And it doesn't go the way you expected. A cliffhanger. A cliffhanger is when a movie or a series ends with no answers, leaving you wanting to see the next episode, the next film. Almost like you are on the edge of a cliff looking down. You want to know what's down there. You want to know what's in the next episode. A lot of scary movies and series these days end with cliffhangers to keep you on your seat, keep you on your toes, keep you wanting more. If you've seen Stranger Things or Shameless or Squid Games or Alice in Borderlands, any of these series that have done very well in Netflix, typically the reason why they do so well is because each episode ends on a cliffhanger. So you can't go away and make dinner or do your homework or learn something or subscribe to my YouTube channel. You are stuck, you are invested, you want to know more. And that's a fantastic word for you as well, which I haven't included in this, but you can write this down as your first one. So technically you have 11 new words today. Invested. When you are invested in something, a TV show, a book, it means you're really excited about the outcome. You're really interested. You're really interested in the outcome, the ending. You are invested in this series, this book, this TV show. So our first word today is captivated. Captivated. The adjective being captivating. Now, to captivate is to hold the interest or charm. You're drawn to this thing. Something about it makes you want to see more. You've seen the first episode or the first 10 minutes and you want to know more. You are interested, attracted to this. I was captivated by the new series that I started last night. I highly recommend it. I watched that TV show you recommended. It was captivating. I couldn't look away. I watched all weekend and I can't believe the ending. So captivated is used when you have these cliffhangers, when you have these plot twists. You're so interested in what's coming next that you can describe yourself as being attracted to, captivated by what you were seeing. Intrigued, intrigued. Now, intrigued is kind of a synonym for curious. If you are intrigued by something, you are curious or it is curious. So when you describe something as being intriguing or you are intrigued by it, what you are saying is you want to know more. You have questions. You want to know what's happening. The TV show is filled with twists and turns that keep the viewers on the edge of their seats, making it incredibly intriguing to watch, incredibly curious, making you ask questions, wanting to know more. I found myself completely intrigued by the movie's complex plot and dynamic characters, unable to look away until the very end. I was intrigued by it. I was curious about. The next one is not used so often in casual conversation, but you will definitely see it in articles or movie reviews. If you are someone that likes to look up good films, good TV shows, and you like to read the reviews before you start, you might see this word come up often. It's more of a creative word. It's less used in common conversation. Enthralled, enthralled, or the adjective enthralling, enthralling. The TV show Breaking Bad is enthralling with its intense storytelling and complex characters, keeping viewers on the edge of their seats. Now, enthralling is when something is so fascinating, so interesting that it holds all of your attention. You are only focused on this thing, this movie, this book, this TV show. So in this example I've just given you, Breaking Bad is so interesting. I'm only interested in this. All my attention is focused on this TV show. As I watched Inception, I was completely enthralled by its mind-bending plot and visually stunning cinematography. Now, this is just a very fancy way of saying the plot of Inception was fascinating, interesting, and the visuals on screen were very good as well. Cinematography refers to the visuals, the way the movie is filmed, created. And as I said, it's really not used at all. It's not a common occurrence in everyday conversation, but it might be a good one for you to know that you can bring out occasionally to impress people. Or if you write movie reviews or you read a lot of movie reviews, you now know what this word means and can understand. Spellbound, spellbound, or something is spellbinding as an adjective. Now, again, this is not a commonly used word, as you would only really use this for something that related to magic or fantasy. You wouldn't describe a horror movie as spellbinding. You wouldn't describe an action movie as spellbinding, but you could describe anything in the fantasy category, fantasy genre, as spellbinding. Now, as the word suggests, to be spellbound is almost like you're under a spell. This thing, this book, this movie, this TV show has you under a spell, meaning all your attention is focused on that book, that movie. I remember being spellbound when I watched the first Harry Potter movie at the age of 12. The special effects were fantastic, and I truly believed that magic was happening on screen in front of me. Have you seen Mythical Beasts and Where to Find Them? It's spellbinding. So both of those examples, I've chosen fantasy films that have a sense of magic about them. And this word only really makes sense when you are describing magic or fantasy genres. Mesmerized, mesmerized, or the adjective mesmerizing, mesmerizing. Now, this is a much more common way of saying spellbound or enthralling, enthralled or spellbinding. We would say mesmerized much more commonly than the other two I've just given you. And because of that, it means the same thing. It means it's taken all of your attention. You can't look away. To be mesmerized is almost like to be hypnotized by something. You're attached to it, you're drawn to it. You can't look away. The TV show Stranger Things is mesmerizing. With its captivating storytelling, intriguing characters, and nostalgic 80s setting. So I'm saying I'm drawn to this TV show. Everything about this TV show is very interesting for me. As I watched Inception for the first time, I found myself utterly mesmerized by the mind-bending visuals, complex plot, and intense action sequences. So I'm drawn to, I'm attracted to. I can't look away. In a more casual setting, you might just say, "Oh, I watched the TV show you recommended. It was mesmerizing. I loved all the special effects and colors." I don't know if you've seen Nurse Ratched on Netflix. It's a fantastic TV show because of how beautifully it is created. It's very aesthetically pleasing. And because of that, I would describe it as a mesmerizing TV show. The storyline isn't that positive. It's not a happy, positive story, but the colors used, the images used, the way the camera pans, the way the camera moves throughout the TV show, you feel like you're watching artwork. You feel mesmerized by this. Absorbed, absorbed. Now, the word absorbed means to soak up liquid. Something that is absorbent can soak up liquid, like a sponge is absorbent. If something is absorbed, it is the past tense. It has been soaked up. I was completely absorbed in the thrilling action scenes of the movie, meaning I soaked up everything. I was so interested. I was absorbed in. I started a new podcast on the weekend, and after the first 2 minutes, I was absorbed by it. I was so interested. I soaked up everything they had to say. I was attracted to. I was inside. I couldn't get out of listening to this podcast. We can't really use it as an adjective. We can't really say it was absorbing. The podcast was absorbing. Or the movie, the TV show, the film was absorbing me. We can't say that. That's not really a common thing that you would say. Because if something is absorbing, it's the action of soaking up water or liquid. The sponge is absorbing all the water. I spilt water on the floor and put a towel down. It is currently absorbing all the water. We can't use this as an adjective. We can only say absorbed in the movie. I was totally absorbed in the special effects in the Harry Potter movies. I only watched the first 10 minutes of the new series that you recommended, but within those 10 minutes, I was completely absorbed. Engrossed, engrossed. Now, engrossed is similar to absorbed in the fact that we can only use it as engrossed. Technically, you can describe something as engrossing. The TV show Breaking Bad is so engrossing. Engrossing is similar to absorb. It absorbs all of your attention or interest. So you can describe something as engrossing, meaning it attracts, it draws all of your attention and interest. But it's not so commonly used. It's more common that you would say, I was engrossed by. I found myself completely engrossed in the mind-bending plot and stunning visuals. I watched a new TV show on the weekend and I was completely engrossed even after the first 2 minutes. I'm currently reading a book and I'm so engrossed I can't do anything else. I read it on the train, I read it in the bath, I read it on my way to work. It's a fantastic book. Draws all of your attention, requires all of your interest. Riveted, riveted or riveting. Now, if something is described as riveting, again, it means it takes all of your attention. It's so exciting. It's a synonym for exciting. There's lots of plot twists. There's lots of interesting characters. There's lots of changes throughout the movie. You can't guess what's going to happen. So Squid Games was riveting. People were riveted. They had never seen a show like this before. They had never heard of a concept like this before. It was so new and so different that people all over the world were riveted. If you liked Squid Games, I highly recommend Alice in Borderlands. It's a similar idea, similar concept, but it was actually created before Squid Games. It's a bit longer, it's a bit more detailed than Squid Games, and I recommend it if you liked that show. When I watched it, I was riveted. Now, the adjective of consumed is consuming. Typically, when we use the adjective consuming, what we mean is something negative. For example, something is time consuming. It takes too much time. It consumes, eats, takes a lot of your time. You can also describe something as being energy consuming, or it's really consuming. This is often a negative, so we wouldn't describe a film or movie or TV show in this way. What we would say is, I was consumed by. So all of my time, all of my energy, all of my attention was given up for this TV show, this movie, because it was interesting to me. I was fascinated by it. There were lots of plot twists. It was very exciting. I wanted to know what happened next. I personally really like documentaries, and I watched one this weekend about schools in America. I could say I was consumed by it because it was 3 hours, 3 individual episodes, and I watched the entire thing in one go. So I didn't look away from the screen. I was consumed by it. And our last one today, immersed or immersive. So to be immersed in something is to be completely surrounded by something. And I often say in my videos, if you want to learn English quickly, you need to immerse yourself in it, meaning surround yourself. Every aspect of your life is containing English in some way. So if you describe yourself as being immersed in a movie, or immersed in a TV show, or the TV show was so immersive, what you are saying is you couldn't think about anything else. It took over your thoughts, it took over your time, it took your energy, it took your attention. However, when we describe something as immersive, it often means something a bit different. For example, an immersive experience means you're not just looking at something, you are also touching, feeling, smelling. If you've ever been to an interactive museum, like the Science Museum in London, or I know Japan has team labs. I'll put a photo on screen, but it's like an immersive experience. You touch, you feel, you smell, everything. So you wouldn't always describe a movie, a film, a TV show as immersive. It doesn't sound quite right, but you can describe yourself as being immersed in this TV show, this book, this series, this movie, this documentary. You watched it and everything else was centered around this thing, around what you saw. You were thinking about it. You were asking questions. You were talking to your friends about it. You recommended it to everyone you know. Now, of course, not all shows, not all books, not all movies, films are good, are interesting. Not all movies have a good ending or a captivating plot twist. So in those cases, you can use these same words, but in the negative sense. I found the movie interesting, but it wasn't very riveting. I thought I would be engrossed in the series because the first episode was so good. But actually, the rest of the series didn't match up to the first one, didn't live up to the first one. To live up to something is to meet expectations. So in that example I gave you, the first episode was fantastic, but the other episodes didn't meet expectations. You could also say it was predictable. You could see the end coming. There were no plot twists. So it was therefore not very interesting, not enthralling, not riveting. You were not captivated by it because you could guess the ending. The actors were fantastic, but the script was not written very well. Or the plot twist was very interesting, but the actors were not that great. Or the script and the plot would have been great if the actors had been better at their jobs. Let me know in the comments, what's your favorite movie or TV show and why? What are you watching at the moment that is interesting and you would recommend to somebody else? Do you use Netflix to help improve your English? And if so, what are your favorite series? Which ones are easiest to understand that use lots of different vocabulary? And one last thing I want to mention before I leave you today is I can already see in the comments the question, what is the difference between a movie and a film? And I know I'm going to get the comment that I'm using the word movie incorrectly and it should be film. Yes, you are correct. Film is British English and movie is American English. But as I say time and time again in my videos, American English infiltrates in many, many different aspects of British English because American songs, American movies, American films, American TV shows, American YouTubers, American influencers, they are loved by British people and they become very successful in England as well. So English people are starting to use more American slang than they used to previously. So whilst movie is traditionally American English, you will hear so many British people saying, shall we go to the movies? What movie shall we watch? Shall we watch a movie tonight? So they are the same. Film and movie are exactly the same. They mean the same. They don't mean anything different. It's just a difference in American English and British English. Thank you for watching this video today. Please do leave your recommendations down below. I often recommend new books, new movies, new TV shows to my students. So if there is a good one in there in the comments, I will be recommending it to some of my students. I hope you have a fantastic day and a good week as always, and I will see you next time. Goodbye.